Just this, but on everything at HSN today. You didn't hear me wrong. It's on everything. Free shipping on everything. Happy birthday, big finale weekend here. I didn't know if you had scoured hsn.com or not before the show, but if you hadn't, I wanted to show you this. This is the Tyrone Turquoise, also wraparound ring that is the same material as that other big ring I was just showing you. And this is a cool design.
Isn't that a cool design?
That is a very cool geometric design, very modern.
And you know, and here's the thing, you know, with turquoise. Turquoise is not a fashion statement. I mean, as far as it's not like it used to be. One of the biggest problems that I had. It is a fashion stone, but when I first started selling, and I was out in the marketplace, and I would call people, and as soon as I'd tell them I'm a manufacturer from New Mexico. Yeah. They would go, oh, we don't do Southwestern jewelry.
Right.
And I used to say, and then I would say, well, neither do I. Yeah. And so, and the hardest thing that I ever had to get over was to actually have people actually let me show them what I did, right? And this is where this market has gone to. Now, don't get me wrong. I started out doing Native American designs, Native American craftsmen. That's how I started out over 40 years ago. Since then, it's evolved into something totally different. Here's what you're going to see, though, is in turquoise, okay? And if you look at what's happening in the designer market, real high end, you see turquoise in almost everybody's collection, right?
Sure. Yep.
It's something it's something that's here to stay. But I will tell you right now, turquoise isn't something that that just occurs naturally, every single place in the world. It's actually extremely limited where it is found and where it's harvested and mined. This is Tyrone turquoise, and again, it's an American turquoise, comes from the Boot Hill area by Silver City in New Mexico. So if you think of where New Mexico is in the Boot Hill, and we're right at the top of where the Boot Hill is, that's where this particular rough material is mined.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this